A lot of people set out at the beginning of every year to become more disciplined or to improve their productivity or to just generally get their life together, but in a few months they go back to their old ways. So if you're one of those people, you might be thinking, what am I doing wrong? I make New Year's resolutions. It's not the goal itself that is the problem. You know what you need to do. It's how you define that goal. That's the issue. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How to turn your goal into a concrete plan so that you can actually accomplish it. This video is based on the research done by Dr. Katie Milkman from the University of Pennsylvania. She's a professor of marketing and an expert in human motivation. So here are 4 steps to ensure that you stay committed to your goals, starting with number 1. If you want to achieve something big, first you need to define the true target. When most people think about goals, they think about all the things that they would like to happen. They call this a wish list. For example, let's say you want to start working out more. A wish list goal could be I want to work out more. Or another example, maybe you want to eat better. A wish list goal could be I want to eat better. Now there's nothing wrong with having a wish list. The only problem is that a wish list is not a goal. Having a wish list doesn't help you take any action. It's just a random collection of ideas. So the first step to turning your goal into a plan is to take your wish list and decide which item is the most important. And then use the OPT model to define your target. The O stands for outcome. What do you want to happen? The P stands for the criteria for your desired outcome. How will you know when you've achieved it? And the T stands for the deadline. When do you have to achieve it by? Let's say you want to be fitter. Using the OPT model, you could define your target like this. By March 1st, I will have lost 5 pounds. That's your outcome. You will have lost 5 pounds. That's your criteria. And March 1st is your deadline. So the first step is to come up with a meaningful outcome that you actually want and then put a deadline on it. Commit to a specific date that you will achieve your goal by. And don't forget to write it down. Studies show that writing down a goal makes you more likely to stick to it. And the best way to remember these goals is to visualize them. So draw a picture of the vision board that you want to achieve. The second step is to know your X and your Y. If you're not familiar with X and Y, let me explain. X stands for obstacles and Y stands for the corresponding action that you'll take to deal with that obstacle. So to make sure that you accomplish your goal, you need to figure out what obstacles might stand in your way and then determine the best course of action to take. Here's an example. Let's say your goal is to eat healthier. You know that eating healthy food is good for you, but you also know that sometimes you just don't feel like eating healthy food. So that's an obstacle. So what you can do is you can choose to order something else. When you don't feel like eating healthy food, you know something like I'll just order the French fries instead. That's your X. That's the obstacle. And your Y is ordering a salad instead of the French fries. So you need to know what your obstacles are and be ready to face them. But most people don't do this. Most people only plan for success, but success is not guaranteed. There are a lot of factors outside of our control. So if you really want to increase your chances of achieving your goal, you need to plan for both success and failure. You need to know your X and your Y. Here's another example. Let's say you want to read more books. One of your obstacles might be you don't have enough time. So what you can do is you can commit to reading just 1 page of a book a day. That way you'll still make some progress even if you're short on time. Step 3, anticipate obstacles. As I mentioned before, the biggest mistake people make when setting goals is that they only prepare for success. But if you really want to succeed, you need to be prepared for everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So ask yourself what could go wrong and make a plan. Here's an exercise that you can do to help you identify your obstacles. Think about a time when you failed to achieve a similar goal in the past. What obstacles did you face? What could you have done differently to overcome them? Once you've identified your obstacles, brainstorm solutions. What can you do to make your goal easier to achieve? This is very important. Make sure that your solution is automatic. You see, when you're faced with an obstacle, you won't always have the energy to brainstorm solutions on the spot. So it's better to come up with a game plan ahead of time. Let's do some examples. Going back to my last example, let's say your goal was to read more books. We already brainstormed one obstacle, which was you don't have enough time. So one solution could be to commit to reading just 1 page of a book a day. Another obstacle could be you don't enjoy reading. So a solution could be to find a book that you're actually interested in reading. Or maybe you don't have a quiet place to read. So a solution could be to go to the library and read in a quiet place. So as you can see, there are many obstacles that you could face and there are many possible solutions. So be prepared. Step 4. Anchor and activate. Once you've figured out your obstacles, you need to figure out how to put your plan into action. You see, most people don't follow through on their goals because they're too focused on the what. They don't think about the how. So how can you make your goal easier to follow through on? Well, according to research, the best way to do this is to link your goal to an existing habit. You see, habits are the building blocks of our daily lives. They make up our routines and rituals. And since we perform habits automatically, they're a great way to remind us to do something without having to think about it. This is called anchoring. Anchoring is a psychological phenomenon where we rely on the first piece of information that we see when making decisions. Our brains are lazy. We don't like to waste energy on unimportant things. So instead of trying to remember every little detail, we focus on the most important pieces of information and ignore the rest. For example, if you see a shirt that's 50 off, you're more likely to buy it because you're anchored to the idea that it's a good deal. Even if it's not actually a good deal, you won't know because you're anchored to that 50% off number. So how does this relate to goal setting? Well, when you're trying to achieve a goal, you need to find an anchor that you can attach your goal to. An anchor is something that you do every day that reminds you of your goal. For example, if you want to exercise more, you can anchor your workout to your morning routine. Every morning when you wake up, you brush your teeth. So while you're brushing your teeth, you can remind yourself to put on your workout clothes. Brushing your teeth is your anchor, and the workout clothes are your goal reminder. When you're done brushing your teeth, you'll see the clothes and remember to work out. There's also something else that you can do to help you stay on track. You can use a tool. There are a lot of different tools that you can use to achieve your goal. You can use sticky notes, calendar events, alarms, accountability partners. The key is to find a tool that works for you and that you'll actually use. For example, if you want to read more books, you can use a sticky note to remind yourself to pick up a book after lunch. Or if you want to work out more, you can use an accountability partner to keep you motivated. So the trick is to find an anchor that you can attach your goal to and then use a tool to remind yourself of your goal. You know, a lot of successful people use this method to achieve their goals. For example, Steve Jobs used to wear the same thing every day so that he would not have to waste energy deciding what to wear. He was anchoring his outfit to his morning routine, and Mark Zuckerberg also uses an anchor to remind himself of his goal of making the world more open. Every morning he wakes up and puts on his iconic gray shirt. Remember, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Don't just set a goal, turn it into a plan.